Hey everyone, welcome back to my workbench. I'm using a different microphone, so I might sound a little different. I've got a little lavalier mic on, so I'll try not to talk too loud. Okay, so got a couple things in the mail. So I figured out what I'm going to do is have the Pi shifted over this way a little bit. There's 4 sets of screws, so I'm purposely rotating everything around 180 degrees. Usually the HDMI port would be facing this way, but it's facing this way now, and I shifted everything over. So it gives me the advantage of I have lots of room over here now for the USB ports to be accessible. And then I got these really nice little thin HDMI cables instead of these really thick stiff ones here. So I'll use this little thin guy instead. So when I output it, it's going to sit right about there. So I'll have plenty of room. It's going to sit right about there. So I'm going to have plenty of room to route it all out. So now that makes my layout on the bottom a bit easier, because all that's going to be on the bottom is going to be the this faces this way. This guy's going to face this way. So when I go to assemble it, I'll have it open like this. I'll have, where's my USB? Here it is. This is the USB controller for the joystick. So I have this guy plugged, this guy here, and have be able to plug this in these 4 buttons here, and then all 6 of these buttons here will come right nicely into place. So when I go to assemble it, I just have to plug in these guys here. Actually, I'll probably rotate this around to make it easier. Which button's which? It has there. It's listed out. I know it's in the... Yeah, there it is. K1. So you want to start with this guy. So these guys here will plug into these guys here. And then this is where the joystick itself plugs in. And that means only going to plug in a few connections here. Plug in, get it kind of like this, plug in the USB and the HDMI, then I can fold it down and then screw it all together. So that makes stuff a bit easier. Alright, so I also got in the mail Amazon dropped off, I got a new U3 128 gig SD card for it, so I'm going to be formatting that later and loading up the latest version of RetroPie. And so this should work out pretty nicely. Everything's tucked in pretty nicely on this guy now. Yeah, this turned out really well. And then all I need to put down here is just going to be the USB controller and the DC power pack. That's all it's going to be in here. So it's going to make things a lot simpler. It's going to be very clean on the bottom, so not much to worry about there. I'll just probably end up double-sided tape here, and then the other USB will be up here, which will be fine. Again, that's going to be really easy to plug it in and then lock everything down. So it's coming together. Now I'm just going to be cutting holes and mounting everything up, and then I'll get a bunch of holes cut out, and then I'll follow up with the video of wiring this all together. What I usually end up doing is finding a bunch of El Cheapo micro USB cables. These like little crappy garbage ones they give you with everything that uses micro USB, and I just snip off the end and wire it up, because a lot of times these only have 2 wires in them anyway. Sometimes they have all 4, but usually it's just like 2 wires in there for charging, and that's it. I'll hack apart a couple of those El Cheapos and use them for plug-in, because I have 3 micro USBs. I got one here for the, there's one here for the screen. There's another one here that's for the Pi itself, and then one more here for the HDMI splitter. So those 3 will be all wired up through the switch. So it's going to go power supply, which has the 5.1 volt regulation. Then it'll go through the switch here, and then go from the switch, split out to, well, the ground will be common, but the 5 volt will go to all 3 of these devices. And of course the this guy's just being powered up by the USB, so I don't have to worry about wiring him up. Already shortened up the cable on this guy, so it's not crazy long. Because before, I think it was 10 feet maybe. It was way long. I don't need 10 feet of cable kicking around in there. So, oh, and the other thing I did do is I took this cable here, this HDMI shell, and I chopped it down this little bit so I don't have any torque on this little converter. So now it's nice and flush to it. And I added some layers. Change the focus a little bit. I added a few layers of double-sided tape here, so it's actually righted on there. So it's not. It actually doesn't move much at all now. So the nice thing is the SD card is quite accessible here. I can grab it, well, relatively grab it and pull it out. It comes out relatively easily. So I'm going to be changing from this 32 gig to a 128. And it's a much faster one, so this sucker should boot up real quick. So I'll have. I was contemplating going with the Pi 4, but the Pi 4 is a bit power hungry for what I need, and I wanted to keep it a little bit lighter. This is a Model 3B, which is the B plus. 3B plus. So that's the fastest version. I think it's a 1.4 gigahertz on this guy. So it's the fastest version of the 3. It's the final version, the B plus. And it's got the most RAM and it's got the fastest clock. So it should run everything pretty darn well. I mean, it'll struggle a little bit with some some games like the PlayStation 1, but other than that, it should run everything else just fine. So yeah, I got that going. So yeah, it's coming along. I'm going to cut some holes, and next video I will hopefully start doing some wiring. And then next week or so, I got one warranty repair coming back. The screen wasn't quite up to snuff. It had a dead pixel and still had that color shift problem. So the Nomad's coming back, and I'm going to replace it with an RGB input screen instead. So that's going to be in a few days, though. I mean, it's probably late next week, but I'll get that done and turned around real quick. So everyone, thanks for watching, and back over to my end mill to start cutting some plastic.